what I share with you is very interesting thoughts which I had yesterday, and what it gives us an opportunity to exchange, consciously exchange heart to heart. So when we are talking about really, way to explore our consciousness, there's one important principle in consciousness exploration. It has to come with a feeling. And that's why, people chant together, they sing together, because the poetry, the environment of music, what it really creates, it creates the accessible environment where every heart-to-heart transaction happens. So our teacher from India, when he started coming out of India, he was like a spiritual guy, but he wasn't speaking great English. So he had to meet many intellectuals in America and the West. But he charmed those intellectuals with his heart. So he always used to say to us, he said, it's not an intellectual exchange, it's a heart-to-heart transaction. What I'm trying to give you, it's something with love, rather with my brain. It was very, very, very touchy, because you can see that the most exchange is happening through love and open heart. And of course, we have a mind, so we're not denying intellectual exchange, but what we're trying to say, spiritual intellectual exchange, is called revelation. It's much more deeper, because that's kind of like take a flash drive and install knowledge to another flash drive. It's a Wi-Fi spiritual exchange of depth and consciousness. And that's how we can change our reality. That's how we can change our feeling. That's how we can change the way we see things. So this is very important. That's all I want to tell you guys. So anybody have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to hear what you say, or if you have a question, we can go a little further. Hare Krishna.
Questions, Sheila? Давайте зададим вопрос насчет сознания. Включает ли оно в себя ум?
Махарадж, мы вчера говорили вот про градацию, да, как бы чувство, ум, сознание. И если вы могли бы немножко прояснить вот это вот.
Okay, so I mean, what Jamuna say is very interesting. How do we receive information? Because like if you start listening, let's say Ayurvedic doctor, he will explain you that everything you hear and see, it starts from prana, 5 elements. Let's say, an interesting way. Do you know why you eat food? What is the process in the food? You say, well, we eat food to feed the organism. But if you go to scientific way, it will really explain you that the whole process of food eating is just to give oxygen to the cell. Do you understand that? So do you understand that most of food that you eat are going into the waste and toilet? That truly body using so much energy to digest food just to get oxygen to the cell, which technically means like you're wasting so much food around you and so much crops and plants and living entities just to get oxygen to your cell. Do you realize that? Then the question, why do we eat? Well, like, why fat people like me, because I'm a little fat, why fat people like me become a good cook? You know why?
Because of taste.
That's right, exactly. See, if we're talking about just feeding our oxygen through cell, we just have to stick like, maybe oxygen tank to our ass and open thing and just like for instance, I'm practicing yogic pranayam. I'm not trying to do this like as a super yogi to fly, but I'm pretty good at that. And I understand when I did my fasting for 27 days, which means I only did breathing and breathing sun and taking little juice and water. At that time, on my maybe 20 days, I realized I waste so much time and energy to eat. It's unnecessarily. But you know what the real thing is why we eat? We eat because of our emotions. We want to fulfill our emotions because food is very emotional. That's why when we have a business dinner or romantic dinner, we don't meet girl and say, "Are you hungry?" "Yes, I'm hungry. Let's go to bed." That's not how romantic exchange works. It has to be a beautiful dinner, has to be beautiful music, it has to be beautiful conversation. Everything has to be about beauty. Everything has to be about beauty, and personal exchange between men and women also has to be beautiful. So what is that way to realizing the beauty through food, through love, through music, through exchange? What is that? Because if we're talking just about feeding our body, we're talking about feeding ourselves. So let's just put some oxygen into it. Let's not waste our time and money. It would be much more economic if people would not eat anything or not even drink, because I realize in certain stage of pranayama, you don't even need to drink. It's all like, you can get, because by breathing, you're breathing all the ingredients, like especially when you do pranayama in beautiful forest or beautiful medicinal garden, you breathe in all the micro elements. And if you do pranayama near the water, remember there's moisture in water, so you don't need to drink. All you have to do is just breathe. And I felt so amazing. Like, just think of this. I'm like, after 20 years or 20 days of technically full fast, I feel like more energy than ever. I'm going to do another 30 or 60-day fast this maybe December. Just like I want to go like completely juice and like pranayama, nothing else. Because as soon as I start eating, I gain like 10 kilos of weight back. And I understand the only way I'm eating is emotional. But you have to eat as a spiritual. So offer your food to Krishna and have emotional, spiritual food. But all comes to level of soul. So when you say, who is the really receiver of all these emotions? What we really try to touch is emotion of the soul, not emotion of the mind, not emotion of our nerve system, our genitals, our tongue. It all have to attack our soul. That's who looking for the emotions is the soul. So there's mental information, there's sensual information, but there's something very deep that touch our soul. That's all I'm trying to explain about how we conceive the reality. So most people, they're not even function on the soul. When you're going to exchange with somebody, like, hey, how much is that? Oh, can I buy this? You're not in like deep exchange. But when you go to exchange with your girl, with your beloved, with your children, with your family, with your friend, it's a deeper exchange. And that's why you want to reveal, you want to open heart. And when you have spiritual experience, it's even more deeper than personal experience. I guess you understand what I'm trying to say. Does it make any sense?
Yes. Yes.
So that's why
if I may, the question was how the consciousness is above the mind. How
well that
is how it is?
I just explained to you this in a different way, because we can say senses like a scanners, then eyes like a camera. But when you have a movie director behind camera start working different way. So first you receive information through senses, but it really comes through your senses, your mind, your intellect, and finally, it has to come to the observer, who is considered to be soul, Atma. So there are different levels. Like sometimes you just have, like when you go to visuals, you just have food for your mind. Just through eyes, you see abstract visuals, but you're not really getting any deep feelings. That's why what I was trying to explain to you. It's not what you see or what you hear. It's what is the reaction of the soul. Otherwise, you can have visual experience, mental experience, or you have no experience. Sometimes you go to school, you're sitting in the school, but you're not listening teacher. You appear to be in a school, but you're somewhere else in a football game, in a computer game. So technically you're present in the reality, but you're not even connected to that reality. Just like when children playing computer games, there's so much observed in a computer game, they're not even observing that reality of that world. Because the game, that's what getting them excited. So if we can say material reality is like a game which excites us to experience the superficial virtual reality like world where we forget about self, the soul, that's what we are right now. But as far as you are hear the sound of external world or hear the smell of the real food, you gradually coming back to another reality, and your mother gives you meal, and you start eating this meal, and you realize I've been playing for so long, I was so hungry, but I could not understand how hungry I am. So that's just same as our physical experience. We're playing so long in this material reality that we're not even realizing we're a spiritual soul, and we are hungry for the spiritual food, and we're eternal parts and particles of Krishna. Anyway, I mean, I'm just throwing you different ideas to chew. You don't have to say yes or no. Because we are at this point, even with digital exchange of the heart. Of course, I would be if I would be personally, and I would eat beautiful hummus and hang out with you guys. We would have much more deeper experience. But with the new digital media, we are trying to have a partial experience of consciousness exchange. But it's a unique thing of consciousness that consciousness does not really stops you. But I mean, my point is there's so many objective ways, like in the study book. But I think my goal to associate with you is not to go to ABC of study books, because you're much smarter than I am. You can get our books like Bhagavad Gita or our other books, Subjective Evolutions. You can read them, you can get them. I mean, I'm dealing with smart people. All I'm just trying to do is I'm trying to share with you something of my own, something that I understood, and I'm in my own words, so that you have your own experience in your own words and feelings. And the important exchange to you, what I've said, is the exchange of love. Because, if you hate your customer, if you hate somebody you talk, that all you can translate is the hate, even if you speak in sweet words. But if you love somebody, even if you're chastising somebody, that chastisement will be chastisement of love. So do you understand what we're saying? So it's not what we're saying. It's like, what is the purpose what we're saying? What's inside the word? That's why Tolstoy said, I heard so many religious people tell me about, ideas of Jesus and nonviolence, but I could not understand them because the people that told me these ideas could not understand them themselves. But when Tolstoy explained this, then Gandhi understood, and Gandhi explained to his followers, and his followers defeat British by just adopting one simple principle. That's all I'm trying to tell you. The chain reaction, how consciousness of one effective consciousness of another one, and that's affecting consciousness of mass people. Anyway, that's something for you to talk about, to think about. And of course, the way we get together, we chant Maha Mantra, we eat prasadam, we eat food. It's engaging our senses into another reality. And we talk to each other with love and meaning, because we're not trying to sell something to each other, or we don't have a political issue. Our exchange is purely on spiritual level, from soul to soul, and that's where the most impact of consciousness are important, because soul is the consciousness. We conscious because of the soul, and soul is greatest energy, and greatest energy of the soul is ability to love, because the love is the intrinsic search for the happiness, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for happiness and fulfillment. That's why many people that do big business or have a lot of money, they're frustrated people. They look very bad. They're committing suicide, or they're unhappy because they're just trying to exploit day and night, and in this exploitation they're losing themselves. So there was one interesting story in Vedas about one king. The king was so much engaged in his kingdom because he was so wealthy that he was always afraid that his neighbors will attack his kingdom. Then he always thought, I have so much wealth, I need to invest. So one day he called one sage and said, oh, Swamiji, I want to share with you my heart. I cannot share this my heart with my wife, my children, my minister, but I share with you. And sage said, of course. So tell me. The king said, I really, really unhappy person. I'm the most unhappy person in the kingdom. And sage said, why? And he said, well, um, you know, because I'm always worried about the kingdom, the people, the citizens, the security, everything. And day and night, I'm sleeping, thinking about my wealth, my children, my succession. Then I'm just so frustrated. What should I do? Then the sage said, okay, you should go out, simple dress, and you should find a happy person and wear his shirt. Ask his shirt to wear it. So the king went several times and he came back to Sage, and Sage asked him a question. So did you go out? He said, yes. Did you found a happy person? He said, it was very difficult, but I found one. He said, did you wear his shirt? He said, no, I could not, because the happy person had no shirt. So, which means all the being so wealthy and powerful, he met many, many people, but everybody of those people had their own problems. Small people had small problems, big people had big problems. So the only one person he found who had no problems was the guy who had no shirt, and he was like a happy yogi. So which means happiness, it's not an external material stage of well-being. It's our internal consciousness, which definitely get reaction from external world, but just the happiness itself is intrinsic quality of the soul, which comes from happiness. So love comes from love. So when we're looking for loving exchange, we're looking for heart to share love with somebody. That is our natural intrinsic quality of the soul, to look for somebody who's also soul-like. That's why we're social people. You cannot really separate us with mask or like put us in virtual reality. Right now they're trying to make a online education for children, which is the most horrible thing, because the true education is not the school itself, the educational program. The true education is what children exchange with themselves. So anyway, I hope, guys, we had a long enough conversation, because I still need to run. I'm on the middle way to guys that waiting for me. But I'm so happy to see all of you, and I think you enjoy meeting with you today. Be happy to meet you any other time. I hope one day I'll come to Israel and see you in person, or maybe you be traveling towards Thailand or India or Russia, whatever. But thank you so much. And I'm so happy that in the most difficult time, when people are going crazy and separate, you guys getting together. That is very important. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And I'm sure with love, affection, sweet dealings, you'll continue a spiritual association, and I'll see you again. And I can tell you philosophy in books, but today I felt more to express my heart to you, rather to, give you some kind of a book knowledge. Bye. Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All right, guys. See you.